Hello, I'm Ian Turkington. I'm the VP for Architecture and APIs here at TM Forum, and I'm joined today by Rajiv Papneja. Rajiv is the Senior Vice President and Global Head of Cloud Network Services from Prodapt. He has over 20 years of experience in the telco world, and he's currently working with digital service providers transforming their network IT stacks. And today we're going to have a short conversation with a very long title. We're going to be talking about, and I'll consult my notes, the software intensive networks framework to fast track the rollout and integration of 5G and the next generation networks to achieve business agility. Rajiv, it is great to be talking to you again. You're very welcome with us here today. It'd be lovely to be doing this face to face someday, but we will
Yep.
just have to make do with this for now. Thank you for coming with us.
Likewise, Ian. Great to be here. And one day, I think the travel has already started, so I think soon we'll be face to face. But great to be here, and thanks for having me. And yes, it's a long title, I think, and rightfully so, right? Because the networks are transforming. They're embracing more and more software. The old school networks are no longer viable as we are handling with the challenges, the competition, the pace of innovation that's disrupting the networking and the telco space. So, absolutely, I think the software intensive networks is the way to go. You asked for the benefits that we are looking to drive out of this approach, and I think my simple answer would have been a cliche set of benefits that telcos are trying to look for, which is how do I increase the pace of innovation? How do I build elastic networks? How do I increase the throughput, business agility, real-time network management, and so forth? And in all of these, in my opinion, are the hygienes that we have to, have it no matter what, either I embrace softwares or not. But I think there are two things, that are being, challenging telcos today. The first one is how do we catch up with the technology trend that is driving, the industry currently? The speed of competition is exponentially growing. Look at the hyperscalers. I was reading an article from one of the CEOs of the hyperscalers, and in 2018 itself, they rolled out 1,800 services and new features, and which shows you the power of compounding when, especially back in 2008, it was just 20 of such features that were rolled out. So the very building blocks of networks are getting fundamentally altered, right? The network control intelligence is moving out of the legacy OSS and getting embedded into networks as software. So softwareization is actually driving the problem space. And if I look at the business impact, right, and we all know that DSPs are inherently complex enterprises, which is mix of legacy and always the new business will be there, that DSPs have to launch. The cost of technology lock-ins, inflexibility is just not prohibitive, but it's, existentially punitive. And that's important because, you're also hearing, Ian, in the industry that the chip shortage, and I'm hearing from telcos that they have to wait for 5 to 7 months to get hardware, which is absolutely disrupting the rollout of new businesses for them or monetization of the network, disrupting the scaling of the infrastructure. So can I embrace open source? Can I embrace software, to build it myself, right? So, and I think those are the things that are very, very critical in today's environment. And can I be like SpaceX? SpaceX is pushing about 17,000 times a day with confidence, right? New features and new software into production with 50 times less engineers that, telcos may have or similar enterprises may have. And maybe software is the answer to the business problem, Ian.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to move on to the next question there in terms of, well, what technologies, what developments are making this critical today. I think you've already answered that actually in terms of the particularly the softwareization of the network. and the different scale. Those examples you gave of the hyperscalers, it is a different ballpark. It is a different game, and we need to change our game if we're going to be playing in that same field as them.
Right.
So, what do you feel are the options for dealing with this? What do the CSPs need to be doing in order to face this challenge head on?
My I would say, if I have to react to that question, a classical reflex would be, you know what? Let's embark on a mega long drawn transformation programs, right? That all of the telcos maybe are doing it. We are involved in many, and the other thing is, can I reduce the TCO through maybe simplifying my stack, outsourcing? And these are some typical things that telcos are basically looking at. More importantly, we have to build partnerships with telcos, right? We have to bring the digital economy into the thinking process, right? We have to mix the value, or at least extract the value from all the legacy infrastructure, legacy IT stacks that we have built, and maybe shrink wrap that with using APIs, abstraction layer. We are actually doing this with many of our DSP customers, where we are embracing whatever we can preserve, whatever we can scale, right? And to reap the economic benefits while simplifying the stack, while leveraging the principles of TM Forum open digital architecture, which preaches decoupling between the production and the CRMs and the digital interfaces and so forth, right? Leverage products and operations that generate value, how I can bring value out of or monetize my dark data that I'm getting. Can I use that to sell more? Can I use that to recover faster? Can I use that to predict what's happening in my network, and what customers are looking for? So preempt before the customer comes and asks you for the request. We are there with that new service offering with them. And I think these are the things that we are working very closely with them. And as you put these pieces together of future ready architecture, solution building, smart CAPEX type of approaches, embracing AI ML into your operations, what we certainly need is an intelligent network operating platform, right? And which could be a mix of legacy and next generation stacks, right? And so those are the things that we are, in fact, working together with our telcos to make this possible by bringing agile digital platforms which intensively use software and data.
Yeah. So with these service providers you're working with at the minute, maybe you've got some examples you can share with us, particularly where you've been using this intelligent network operations platform. What sort of things have you done? What sort of benefits has this realized for these service providers?
I think the biggest, benefit that we are driving through embracing, architectures like iNOP, which basically focuses on four fundamental pillars. Number one is network creation. Can I help you plan and design faster? Can I help you roll out fiber and services faster? Can I create the single source of truth for your inventory? The second big pillar is service orchestration. This is where your streamlined cataloging, the product cataloging. How do you guardrail that your sales teams are not selling anything and everything, so that you can deliver services faster? The other big thing is, can I activate my services faster, so I'm not being long drawn in waiting to recognize my revenue because my service delivery times are unpredictable. So that service orchestration piece is something that we are heavily focused on with our operators. We are working on building tools and automations for them, where the entire site turnup can be automated, right? With a simple trigger that could be done by the operator or the field tech, and the whole workflow triggers from there. The third major pillar here is service assurance. Extremely important. This is where we bring synergies from the fourth pillar that I will mention, which is the analytics and AI ML. Now, this is where the fault management, the performance management, the incident management, the remediation, and all of those can be automated with using technologies like closed loop automation and insight driven operations and so forth, right? So those are the things. And if you look at the output, when I leverage these pillars to the benefit, my simple output or business outcome that I'm looking for here is how do I go to market faster, right? And translate human intent into implementation, but not leveraging or using many human brains to implement that intention. So that's where we are thinking in design time. We are deploying in real time using net devops. We are embracing intent as a codes, model driven orchestration, simplifying policies with a sheer goal of how do I deliver my services faster. That's it.
Yeah, and I think the benefits you talked about there, to some extent, there's nothing new. We've always wanted to deliver things quickly. We've always wanted to sort out our planning. I think what is new is the technology it's built upon
Yep.
is so much more complicated and so much more fast moving as it moves to software. But luckily, the technology we use to manage it and the artificial intelligence and the management of intent again is keeping pace. But it is, we really are moving towards a state where things need to be automated. Once you put humans into the picture, it's just too slow. You need to think, how can we automate this? How can we react to things much more quickly? One thing very quickly, are there any specific challenges or lessons learned, that you've encountered with service providers where they weren't expecting, a particular hurdle they had to overcome, which was really difficult for them?
Absolutely. And I think I have a common denominator, right? That I say, and two things that I'm seeing every conversation. The first one is you cannot change legacy at pace or discard it, right? This is just given. The second thing is you cannot avoid rapidly adapting or embracing new future platforms, right? So these are the two things that we are seeing across the board, right? The operators are looking to, of course, look at new technology, but there is certain things and certain process that you have to follow in terms of checking the readiness, adaptability to your infrastructure, and so I think the way we are looking at it and simplifying, or if I may say that, at least take the edge off from the migration challenges, is using the wide spectrum of APIs. I mentioned about shrink wrapping the legacy and embracing some API integrations, decoupling, and so forth. Use of APIs, the systems, end-to-end solution integration principles, which will help us bridge the diversities while keeping the focus on business centric outcomes, right? That we talked about earlier in the conversation.
Yeah. So, believe it or not, we've more or less used up our allotted time. One of the things I always like to do at the end of these conversations is give you an opportunity just to leave a final word of wisdom for our viewers at home. A lot of them are going to be on transformation journeys. So, what one bit of advice, briefly, would you like to leave with them today?
It's a very loaded question, and we can probably take another 15 minutes to answer. But I think I will just tell you this, that we coming from Prodapt, we have been very much focused on cloud and network services, becoming partner to our telcos in addressing some of the challenges we talked about, and also help them embrace software in the networks, right? And what I'm noticing is that we are no longer system integrators, right? We are system creators as we are partnering with telcos that how we can build this together. And my point to them is always, and I've had these conversations with some of the partners in the DSP community, that how do I get away from that my problems can be solved by next release, that I'm just one release away from all of my problems, right? So how do I get away from there? So I think system creation, system building, taking the destiny in our hands, that's where I'm seeing the role of system integrators also transforming, and as we are partnering and building systems ground up in collaboration with operators.
Well, thank you very much, Rajiv, for your time today. It has been great having a chat with you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Ian. Great
Yeah,
conversation. Thank you. Have a great